On the island of Madagascar, there is a bakery called Sally's Bakery, of course, owned by Sally. Sally decides that she wants to write a computer program that keeps track of what stage a baked good is in its life cycle. Now, the stages that a baked good go through are the mixing stage, which is the stage at which the treat is still in its liquid form and hasn't actually been baked yet. The baking stage, which is when the mixture is in the oven, moving from inedible to edible. The baked stage, which is when the baked good comes out of the oven. The display stage, which is when the baked good sits atop the display counter, waiting for someone to buy it. And finally, the sold stage, which is when someone buys the baked good. Now, what is essentially required is that the program gives an indication of which stage the baked good is at in comparison to the stage that Sally wants it at. For our purposes, we will say that Sally wants all baked goods to be at the baked stage. In addition, the program needs to advise a user as to what to do when a baked good is at a certain stage. If it is at the mixture stage, the program needs to tell the user to put the mixture in the oven. If it is in the baking stage, there really isn't anything the user can do except to just wait it out. If it is baked, the user needs to know that it needs to go onto the display counter. If it is on the display counter, the user needs to know to just wait for someone to buy the baked good. And if it has been sold, the user needs to know that they should probably start baking something else as space has opened up. Now, Sally looks into various data structures to help her with her task, but eventually settles on enums due to the advantages they provide. An enum, or enum, which is actually how it's supposed to be said because it refers to an enumerated data type, is a programmer defined data type which consists of a fixed set of values. To declare an enum, one has to first write the keyword enum, followed by the identifier for that enum, and thereafter a pair of curly braces containing the list of enum constants. You can also add methods and other fields to an enum type. The advantage of using an enum is that it allows for type safety. When working with an enum, we cannot set it to anything besides the already defined values. Enums come with some useful methods. To read the list of methods, please pause the video here. Going back to Sally's problem, we first start off with a class called baking store enums. Thereafter, we declare an enum with a list of the stages that a baked good goes through. Here we create a variable to keep track of the current stage that the baked good is at. This value would be inputted by the user. Remember that the ideal stage would be the baked stage. We create a variable user entry to receive a string input from the user that will be converted into an enum. Then we create a variable called position to keep track of the position that the user entry is in the enum. The comparison variable is used to store the result of whether the current stage is before, after, or at the baked stage. Thereafter, we call the scanner class to assist us in getting the user inputs. We then print out each stage in the baking stages enum to help us reference where we are at. Here is where we actually receive the input from the user. The user input comes in the form of a string, so we need to convert it to an enum at this point. We store the enum in current stage and then print out the current stage. To get the position of the current stage in the enum, we use the dot ordinal method on current stage. Then we find the value for comparison by using the compare to method to compare the position of the baked stage to the current stage. If comparison is less than 0, the current stage is before the baked stage. If it is greater than 0, it is after. And if the current stage is at the baked stage, then comparison will be 0. Another advantage of using enums is that you can use them to control a case and switch structure. A case and switch works very much similar to an if-else statement. However, in the switch statements, we compare the conditional value with multiple cases. In this case and switch statement, the user is given instructions as to what to do based upon the stage that they are at. By running the code, we are first asked to enter the current stage. If you enter mixture, which comes before baked, the computer outputs the following. If you enter baked, and keep in mind, we used the to uppercase method when passing in the current stage, so the case of the input doesn't matter. But if you entered baked, this is the output that you would get. And if you entered display, this is the output that you would get. This brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching.